In a recent tweet, Casey Hudson, who's an executive producer of Mass Effect, have said that they're in the early stages of designing a new Mass Effect game and asking what you guys want to see in it. All we know right now is it will not involve Shepard. His story is apparently done, or her story, depending on what sex you chose. And players should indeed keep their save files, which of course were integral to remembering the choices that you made for each of the Mass Effects. Of course, you could make various decisions at the beginning of each game if you didn't have a save file, and some of them would be created randomly. However, despite the fact that the universe is massive, I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing some of the characters in Mass Effect 4, assuming it's going to be called that, from the previous ones, depending possibly on whom actually survived on the final mission of Mass Effect 3. I won't go into too many spoilers, just in case you're listening to this without actually completing the original Mass Effect series, which you are silly if you haven't. Go right to it now. Anyway, it's going to be a very interesting time to see Mass Effect 4, and I'm very, very intrigued to see which the enemies are going to be. I obviously doubt it's going to be the Reapers. Maybe it's going to be the Reapers creators. Maybe it's going to be an entirely new entity, or maybe it's going to be a race that we've seen previously but are becoming a lot more of a threat. Also, another little kind of tidbit. I'm wondering if it's going to have the multiplayer aspect of number 3, or if it's going to be more solitary experience, such as Mass Effect 1 and 2, where you felt like you were alone throughout the galaxy. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate what they did with Mass Effect 3, with the whole multiplayer aspect, in other words, with the co-op, but I wasn't a fan of it. I was one of those players that kind of winced, actually, when he read about it. Now, one of those reasons is because I played Mass Effect 1 and 2, and I loved the games, and I played them with single player in mind. I knew they were single player. I loved the fact they were single player because I don't think enough games are actually catering towards single player experiences. And I just felt, well, these guys have produced an experience that is just incredible for the storyline. And then the third one came out, and I just wondered in my heart if a little bit of the single player had suffered because of the multiplayer aspects. Now, obviously, I do understand that many of you guys are going to absolutely love the multiplayer aspect regardless. And let's talk about, say, Uncharted 3, which of course was released also for the consoles, or should I say the PlayStation 3. That also had a multiplayer aspect where you would basically, kind of like a deathmatch game or, team games, whatever you wanted to go with. I have no problem with that, especially if it's released a little bit later on as either a free or, a cheap add-on. That's no problem. However, I don't really like the idea of co-ops in these type of games, where particularly the first and second ones were single player. I kind of felt like they didn't really design the series initially for that. Maybe that's just my my personal opinion. I did like Mass Effect 3. I loved it. I wasn't that much of a massive fan of the ending, the original ending. I'll be honest, I haven't actually completed it since the second revision, or shall we say, of the ending was released, the revised ending, which was lengthened. I haven't actually completed it since then. I'm actually waiting, and I'm probably going to buy the entire trilogy again, obviously the collector's edition, and probably just go through everything, as I actually missed out on one or two little pieces of DLC. I got most of them, such as the Lair of the Shadowbreaker and so on, though. Anyway, so what are you guys actually really wanting in this one? Personally, I'm hoping for more of a mixture of Mass Effect 1 and 2. I wasn't really a fan of some of the aspects of number 3 with the war effort. I felt that was a little bit annoying at times, and maybe not quite as well planned out as I thought. The planet scanning was pretty good. I'm also hoping, of course, it's going to have next generation graphics and so on. I have a feeling it's not going to be on the Xbox 360 / PS3. I have a feeling it's going to be on the next generation, whether that's going to include the Wii U, who knows. But of course, next generation graphics would probably indicate either a new engine or possibly a revision of the current one with much better textures, that type of thing. Whether we're going to see the same characters, I'm personally hoping there are going to be nods towards the previous characters, such as Liara, for example. Anyway, this one's very speculative at the moment. There's nowhere near enough news on this one to kind of go into it. But let's see just what people think of. Please leave comments below what you actually would really want in this one. Mass Effect 4, and what characters you'd like to return, what you would actually like to cut out, done, finito, you'd not like to see it again, and what you'd really like to be expanded upon. I wouldn't mind more of the Mass Effect 1 kind of RPG elements. They slowly phased them out to be more actiony, and I kind of didn't like that. I thought that the way the ammo system worked on number 1, how the guns overheated, was a pain in the ass, actually. I did prefer the way number 2 worked in that. But anyway, let me know what you think, guys, and obviously leave comments below. So, bye for now, take care.